Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday. People like to welcome you all to the show. For those of you all who noticed that I haven't given a show in about 6 or 7 days, in about a week, as I was traveling and I was in the Virgin Islands, going back and forth between St. Thomas and St. John, right? And beautiful, beautiful country, man. I mean, it's very nice. And I'll get into that a little later if time permits, right? But I wanted to talk to you all about the white man's God, which is actually what they set us up under. The god Odin, which is the god of war. And since we are prisoners of war, we think and act like prisoners of war, and they maintain the stage or they set the show. Being up under Odin, the god of war, which is really, when you see the imagery of the white Jesus, it all goes together. That's why they made sure they put that up in black churches, so you could be reminded of really the true God in which you serve, right? Subliminally. You don't know that this whole system was set up for Odin, the god of war. You don't realize that. You just going along with tradition, because you have to remember your ancestors was broken. They were broken into Christianity, meaning if you didn't accept their form of religion, you was punished and murdered. You couldn't pray as Muslims prayed, they kill you. Now, as I mentioned on several shows, your brown or Latino, so-called Latino brothers, right, which they are indigenous people who were conquered by Spain, what they did was they took on some of these Catholic people, such as St. John, St. Thomas, St. this, St. that, and what they did was they still practiced their native religion. They just mixed it in up under whatever saints that they were forced to worship or pay homage to, right? They got smart about it. But what happened to blacks in America, after we lost all knowledge of passing down tradition to the next generation, all we was left with was their teachings, and their teachings, especially coming out of the New Testament, slave obey your master, and those passive type scriptures that was given to black people after you couldn't speak in your native tongue, meaning they didn't want you to learn how to read or write, and they had that law in the books at that time. But yet at the same time, they didn't want you speaking in your native tongue as well. And so you were taught a broken down English, which came from a poorly English speaking poor slave master. For some blacks who was owned by poor whites, and when I say poor whites, I'm saying not the aristocratic whites. We're taught a broken down system and a watered down version of what America was really about, right? So you're serving Odin, the god of war. That's why when they broke into the Capitol building on January 6th, and you saw the guy in the Viking hats, and that was they was representing the god of war, because they always worship the god of war, even going back into the gods and the visit gods and the Northmen and up in Europe, up in the Caucasus Mountain. Odin is their god. And so black people, you're thinking in terms of the victim or the prisoner. They gave black people a prison mindset after being conquered in war. We, even to this day, we don't even realize we at war. We don't even realize that we prisoners of war. You know, look how we function, and look how we do business, and look how we treat each other, and look what goes on in the streets. It's the same, damn near the same thing that goes on in the prison system. Matter of fact, a lot of the trends that spills over into the streets come out the prison system. So we surrounded by what they call a prison culture, but it's only a prison culture because we had got defeated, we conquered, and we prisoners of war, and we don't realize it. And all we have to do is, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated, accept your own and be yourself. And that is, you can turn this thing over overnight. It's that simple. Accept your own and be yourself. Say, man, you know what? I'm not a prisoner. What the hell? I'm walking around here like I'm a prisoner when all this freedom is before me, right? Today it's about the present and the future, because by now we should know all about the past. You know, Black history, we've been doing Black history for generations now. We know about the past. We know about Martin Luther King. We know about Rosa Parks. We know about the struggle. We know about slavery. We know what happened to us. We know some of the names of the slave ships. We got that down pat. We got it. Now, today it's about where you standing at today and what are you projecting for the future, because we working on a new cycle of a 25,000 year history that we write in advance. It's time to start writing it's time to write your history in advance and then walk through it. As Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches, we write our history 25,000 years in advance, and then we walk through it. That's where we at today. We're not stuck in what took place in the past, because, like Bobby Hemmings said, we lived it, we done it, here we got the t-shirt. It's a done deal. Now we working on today, and we creating our tomorrow with a renewed mind, a renewed purpose, and a renewed strength. You know why? Because we can. It's as simple as that. Don't let anybody fool you. Don't get caught up in history till it becomes your everything and you stuck right there and you can't progress forward. So your actions and decisions is made by past traumas. And that way, if your decision is made, if your decision on what to do or as far as your next move is based on past trauma, then you're going to have some wrinkles in your game plan. Because your solution is based out of fear. And that's not good soil to plant a seed in. You dig what I'm saying? So now my travels to the islands, right? Now, you got the Virgin Islands, which is over 80% black. I mean, it's a black island, right? But white people are starting to move, right, into the island and buying property, right? So what comes along with that now is you will see more white police officers now, because the goal is, it's not about protecting black people. The goal is to make sure white privilege is established, meaning white people have to go places and feel like they're special or they own a place because that's their motivation for living. Let's put it like that. For lack of a better term, we'll say their whole motivation for living in existence is when they go places, they have to feel important. They have to feel like they know it all, and they have to feel like they're special. So the police officers, they understand that. So they'll bring in white officers and probably pay for their home and board, and their job is to enforce white privilege. Right. Now, how do they do this? Give you an example. So when we were on the island, we was on the beach in St. John. We had a young white female guide with us, right, who was showing us around the beaches. So, she normally goes to the beach, and she normally brings her dog with her, right? And there was 4 black men. And we were on the beach, and all of a sudden, as soon as we get to the beach, right, and mind you, it wasn't. I mean, if it wasn't no black people on the beach, put it like that, except for us, and probably white dude had a black girlfriend and an older black couple, and that was it, right, on the whole beach. So the park ranger comes to us, right, and he's like. Told the white girl, do you know there's a leash law on the beach? And she's like, well, I might be out here, he enforcing the law, right? No, you got to put that dog on the leash, because what it was the white people on the beach did not like seeing 4 black men with this little white girl, right? With this young white girl. They did not like that shit. The park authorities, he came and he told us, that leash law, and you can't have beer bottles and a glass beer bottle on the beach, right? He said that's whether you go to, what did he say? He said that's whether you're at the Grand Canyons or Yellowstone Park or any federal parks, you can't have this and that. I mean, he getting loud, so and so. It's like, okay. Then he pulls the white girl to the side and asked her for her name, and she wrote it down and gave her real name, and she wrote it down because in his mind he's thinking she's being kidnapped, or even though she laughed and everybody having fun showing us around before he even got there. But now all of a sudden he's thinking she's in danger. Then when we left, he followed us a ways, right? But think now, I'm telling you this story because I want you to keep in mind that this is a black island, right? But since this particular beach, they patrol because they want to give white people their own beach, their own spot on the islands, because white people really, a lot of them, they don't want to come to the beach where the blacks hang out. They want to create their own beach. And when the natives who live there, when they show up on that beach, they call in the authorities. They come, make you feel uncomfortable, like you're not wanted. Just the fact that they'll come up to you or they'll say something like, "You guys all right?" Or they'll say, we're not gonna have any trouble out of you guys, huh? Little shit like that. We know the codes to discourage you from coming back because they want to keep it all white, right? Now let me tell you why they want to keep it all white. Okay, so look, I left. I'm like, man, I'm getting the hell up out of here. I'm mad. I'm like, man, where the black folk at? Where the black beach? So we leaving, and I saw a black guy, islander, who was driving the tour van for, I guess, bringing white folks from their hotels to that particular beach. I said, man, where the black folks at, bro? Where the black beach? He said, oh, man, over here. He said, you 20 years too late, bro. They come in and they regulate, they taking over. I'm like, damn. I said, it's a black island. Yeah, Hey, man, they bring them in to enforce these laws and, okay. I said, well, where the black beach? He said, man, that's on St. Thomas. You got to go to Cokie Beach. So, man, that next morning, man, like we get a cab, bam, we shoot over to Coquille Beach. Man, I'm talking about, okay, now I'm at home, right? Black folk everywhere. And you had some, first, okay, let me show you how it started out, right? So we there in the morning. And so the white tourists, they was coming to Cocoa Beach, but it was a nice mixture, right? Black, white, nice mixture, black, white, right? But as the day started getting, you know, the day started moving along, getting close to 3 and 4 o'clock, then the Black Islanders started coming to the beach, you know, coming to Coquille Beach, right? And now it's black, and I'm talking about, man, these black women bodies was like goddesses, and man, black folk everywhere. And so the white women started feeling a little, you know, because you might have had one or two out there, but they wasn't competing with these sisters, though, right? Sisters out there wrecking the beach. I mean, look here, right? White boys looking at these sisters, and they now all of a sudden, you know, their wives feeling uncomfortable, because I can understand now. I'm looking at it, right? Because, you know, I'm traveling, trying to understand this race thing. I'm like, well, okay, yeah, she's standing next to a goddess. I mean, legs, body, like bam, and the white woman, you know, she young, but them muscles ain't together. And you gotta think about it. Sister just showing some natural beauty. You know what I'm saying? Just naturally, just we all out there. You know, brothers cut. We, wrecking. You know, we on the beach, and so slowly but surely, white folks start to leave, and then they putting on that reggae, and then they mixing some hip hop in it. And black folks party, walking around with bottles in their hand, responsible. Then they had a crew picking up trash, keeping it clean. Black folks tipping each other. I mean, man, it was heaven on earth, man. Had a good time. Folks enjoyed themselves. And I said, wow, now what we got to do next is take that same energy that we do when we party and put that in funness into doing business and trade with each other. And make that fun too, and have somebody behind us making sure everything going smooth and the businesses is running right and everybody happy. Keep that same intensity and that same energy, right? That's what we need to do, bro. Keep it rolling. Because a majority black island, right? Who ancestors been there before the Danish and the Dutch and the colonialists purchased the land. The people who've been there, the natives who've been there in the Caribbean islands, right, should never feel like they can't go to places and beaches where their ancestors have been roaming and traveling for ages, since antiquity, right? Should never feel not at home. But they have a system, and I would notice that the colonizers or Europeans or Caucasian, whatever, when dealing with blacks, their whole goal system is to first break your spirit. They find out what you love to do and how your freedom of expression, and then they say this is no longer allowed here. It's the game. And you're like, what? And now you're wrestling with what type of individual don't want free spirit to flow? Well, that's just to move you out the way so they can move in. But now what they'll do is they'll steady you. And when they get it down packed, they don't need you no more. Now they the new you. And you like, hey, what y'all doing? We created that and stuff. You can't. No. Hey, we patented now. It's ours. Move along, buddy. And that's it. As a matter of fact, don't come back. It's ours now. So now it's time, black people, walk heavy on the earth. Stick your chest out and walk on this earth like you belong here and you are part of this place and you enjoy being here. Stop being pushed around. enjoy life and enjoy yourself. Have you some fun. You know, build and create in a harmonious spirit, in a fun spirit with each other, right? Because don't take that old prisoners of war mentality no more, because that's what they God of war wants you to do, because they created it. So you a puppet if you think like a prisoner. That's all I'm saying. You a puppet in their game, right? Their mindset. You a puppet. That's what they want. That was the whole system, because you was conquered, and there's no difference between prisoner of war and slave. In their mindset, a prisoner of war is a slave. I can do whatever the hell I want to do to you because you my slave, right? And I create a system to where even when you're not my slave no more, you would think like you my slave and act like you my slave, and you'll be a slave by default. That's black history, because you need to know about the white man's God. Oh, which you will see more of it at this Trump's impeachment trial. You will see more of the white man's God. How 80-something, 74 million voters, how they stand behind Trump, who they feel like he's a representation of Odin on earth. They standing with him. All right, and so you got to represent your God of truth and stand with him tall, whether you call him Allah, the Most High, the Creator, whatever term you use. You got to know the difference between the God of war and the God of peace. Verbal Pick Radio. We're out.